mwah, mwah, mwah. Welcome back to the Magical Mystery School, and thank you so much for joining us for this episode, May 30th, 2025. And what we're going to go over is what's happening right now, what's going to happen next, and the big picture. I figure this is a good week for a recap because we have been through a ton of the wobble already from January of 2025, and we got to get all the way to the middle of 2026 before things really start getting better, but we'll keep moving here. Okay, so we still have a lot to go, but first thing I want to mention is the last time when I left you, we were talking about how the sun was going to conjunct Uranus right at like about 28 degrees Taurus. So we were saying Earth, you know, could be some changes and that kind of thing, or earthquakes or that sort of thing. But we did have a volcano right around then here in the States and Hawaii. And they also, the article I read, they were saying that expect maybe something up in Alaska, that there's a reciprocal thing going on there. So we'll see what happens there, but that did happen. And I think the other thing that you guys, any of you have been watching me for very long, you know I have a little bit of the black humor. I shouldn't laugh, but on May 22nd, North Korea launched a warship. Okay, on May 24th, Saturn went into Aries, the war sign. Now Neptune's already there waiting for Saturn, but Saturn rules everything that's metal, steel, iron, all that good stuff. So and when I saw a picture of this ship, it looked like a destroyer, what I would call a destroyer. So it was a big metal ship. And what did it do? The first thing it didn't even get out of the dock. It just rolled over on its side and sunk. That's pretty, or halfway sunk. Pretty crazy, that's for sure. But that seemed to me so appropriate because Pisces, I mean, when this happened, Saturn would have been at 29 degrees Pisces, that anaretic, that critical degree of where something not so good might happen. And then with Neptune in Aries, the warrior, the warship, I think, and Kim Jong-un, I read in this article, said that he was kind of rushing people because he wanted to get this ship launched. And remember what I told you with Saturn, if you ever try to go too fast, try to cut corners, do anything like that, Saturn will teach you a lesson. So I have a feeling Kim Jong-un just got his lesson in astrology. He needs a good astrologer for sure. Okay, so today is May 30th. And we're going to be talking about, first off, is the sun conjuncting Mercury. Okay, and that's happening right today at about 9 degrees Gemini. So it's still in that first 10 degrees. So it is, well, let's see, let me put Mercury on top of that. Okay. Because Mercury's moving so fast right now. It's literally moving 2 degrees a day. So it's right here at 9 degrees Gemini. And, you know, that's that first 10 degrees. But then on June 5th, Mercury is going to come up. It's moving so fast, it's going to sextile Mars. So it's going to move a little bit past that. It's about 6 days, so about 12 more degrees, and that makes sense. This is at about 23 degrees. So we are getting a nice day, a couple of days here for really able to make some forceful speech. So if there is something you need to say to somebody, I'm going to tell you to circle that June 5th and June 4th. Because on June 4th, we've got Venus, who's at like, I would say 28 degrees Aries, okay, is going to be sextiling Jupiter, which is over here at 28 degrees Gemini. All right, so we've got a sextile here, and we've got a sextile here. So here we've got the lesser benefic and the greater benefic sextiling each other. So definitely June 4th, do something fun. Venus is almost out of Aries, so go out and, you know, mix it up, play some games, whatever. Go big with Jupiter. Now with Mercury and Mars here, you know, whenever I see Mercury Mars, I'm always like a little hesitant, you know, watch your mouth. But with a sextile, even if you may blurt something out, it'll come out to be for a good reason. But just remember, so the June 4th, we've got this one, this sextile. June 5th, we've got this sextile. So there's a couple of days there to really ask for what you want. And I would always also encourage you to ask for more than what you want. Now with Jupiter, I kind of usually say, you know, kind of put the brakes on, that kind of thing. But be aware you might need to scale it back or step back a little bit with Jupiter in there. But I say go for it. Go for the big stuff for sure. Okay. So I did want to mention that. And then, oh, and the other big thing that's happening on June 6th, that is when Venus does go into Taurus. So look at your chart. You want to see where this Taurus symbol is at, because Venus is now our feminine energy, and this is for all men, women, anybody, and anybody in between. Your feminine energy is going to go from, hey, let's go play some sports, let's be active, I got to take a shower before we go out, and da-da-da, to Venus and Taurus, where it's like, I'm going to take a bubble bath tonight and burn candles and listen to beautiful music. So it's a very sensual experience for Venus and Taurus. Now, Venus also rules Taurus, so she's really happy here. And this isn't just pampering yourself. This is also, you know, sensuality, good love relationships, shall I say no more? And but also food, anything that's physical. If you like a good meal, Venus and Taurus is the one that can whip it up for you if you've got that in your chart for sure. Okay, so so keep that in mind too. Now this is, we'll talk about this later or next week, because this is happening June 8th. We have Mercury is going to move into Cancer, okay? And then on June 9th, Jupiter goes into Cancer. Now this is big. I just want you to put this on your radar. Again, I'm going to be going over this more next week. But just remember, this 0 degrees Aries, this is the world axis, the horizontal, but here's the perpendicular axis. Now this is the most important point, this 0 Aries, because it's the primordial point of the zodiac. But this, you know, going into Cancer, going into a cardinal sign, that's also very important. Okay, we got some bells to go through, so I'll just quickly review you here. Now, cardinal signs, remember it's cardinal, fixed, mutable. So it's cardinal, it's always going to be the sign right after these axis points. Cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable. Okay, so if you've got anything at the beginning of one of these cardinal signs, the first 10 degrees, and I'm talking about planets, you know, axis points, house cusps, anything, you are feeling all this 0 energy here. Because remember, we just had Venus and Mercury just did their retrograde back and forth across this 0 Aries point. So it's these two personal planets has already kind of softened up this 0 Aries. Now we've got Saturn and Neptune, much bigger, much heavier planets working it over here. So this is exciting times, and we haven't, there's astrologers that have gone back thousands, I mean tens and tens of thousands of years, and have looked and have not found a conjunction like this, Saturn and Neptune, at 0 degrees. But anyway, okay, so the next thing I want to mention is I want us to just look at these 3 personal planets here, Mercury, Sun, and Venus. Now, I've talked about those 3 before, but just to remind you, Mercury never gets more than 28 degrees from the sun, and Venus never gets more than 48 degrees from the sun. So these three planets kind of move around the wheel in a certain group. Now the sun is like clockwork. It is clockwork. It pretty much moves a degree a day, right? And then Mercury and Venus, because of their retrogrades and stuff, tend to speed up. Like Mercury's going to speed ahead, but then, oh, here's another reminder. Mercury's going to go retrograde in July. So yeah, so Mercury's going to go retrograde again. Venus just got done going retrograde. So, but if you are planning a trip, a vacation in, July, August, I would start making your plans now. And I mean like maybe even buying your tickets and that kind of thing. Because once July gets here, we might get some snafus there with that Mercury retrograde. So just put that in your back of your head there. Okay. Now, and as I said, Mercury and Venus went over this point pretty much throughout March and February. And they were doing their wobble. Now, what I mean by the wobble, let me show you this one more time, too. Or may not be the last. Oh, I got kind of a weird shade there. Here, that looks pretty good. Okay. This is that planetary motion chart. So this is for just 2025, and it's showing how each one of the planets moves. So here's Mercury, and see it's already done its retrograde over that 0 point Aries, and now that's the retrograde it's going to make in July. So right now, Mercury is right there. It's getting ready to go into Cancer. Here we can say Venus. She's already done her wobble. And what I mean by a wobble is when a retrograde is over, going from one sign to the next sign. So she's done her wobble, and she's over here getting ready to go into Taurus. And here's our Saturn and Neptune wobbling over 0 Aries point. So both of them just poked their noses into Aries just recently. Now we're going to get ready, because Uranus is going to go into Gemini in July. So that's coming up. So there's Uranus is going to wobble there. Now Jupiter here, we were just mentioning it. I can't really say it's wobbling, because this is pretty standard for Jupiter. It goes into a sign, pretty much one sign every year. It takes 12 years to get around the zodiac. So it's when it hits Cancer, it's going to move forward most of the year. And then Mars has finished its wobble. Remember, it just went in like 6 degrees of Leo, went back into Cancer, and now it's all the way up to, what did we say, about 23 degrees of Leo, and off it will go for the rest of the year. So again, this is from that Llewellyn calendar, but I love to see this. Oh, and I can't forget good old Pluto up here. Pluto did its wobble in 2024, and so now it's just in the first 4 degrees of Aquarius. So that's another thing I really want to point out to all of y'all. Can you tell I'm from the South? Anyway, so Pluto's in that 1 to 4 degrees. Neptune and Saturn are at 1 degree. Uranus is just going to be at 1 degree. So there's a lot of action clustering around those first degrees. So whatever planet you have, when you're looking at your own chart, if you've got anything between 0 and 10, you want to see how it hooks up into these bigger transits. And I'll go ahead and put, I love Pluto here. Pluto here. And the things you want to look for is cardinal. Do you have an Aries, Cancer, Libra, or Capricorn? And especially in that first 10 degrees, first 5 in particular, okay? And then if you're looking for support from this Saturn and Neptune, now Saturn and Neptune might be giving you a few little ouchies and confusion here. But to get support from this, so that might be, maybe you become more glamorous in the work that you do every day, that sort of thing. You want to look for other fire signs. So the fire signs are Aries, Leo, and Sag, and they go fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water, fire, earth, air, water. So those three, you're going to be getting some kind of benefits from that. Okay, now, and don't forget Pluto up here in Aquarius. Same kind of thing. You want to look for the fixed, because Aquarius is fixed air. So you want to look for where are the fixed signs, and they're always the middle sign. So that's Aquarius, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio. And those, if you've got anything in the first 5 to 10 degrees of Aquarius, you're going to be feeling this, and this is going to be a little bit of an ouchie, because Pluto's going to be kind of bringing the hammer down on you. Remember, Pluto is wanking up, right? And I should have my tarot cards out here. We'll see if I got time for that. Okay, but those of you who are getting help from Pluto are going to be other air signs. So the other air signs are Gemini and Libra. So you guys, if it's in the first part of that, Pluto's actually giving you support. It's actually making you more, you know what you want, and you're going to go get what you want. Remember what Pluto, just don't get ruthless, okay? No Libra's going to get ruthless, right? Okay. Anyway, so I kind of wanted to just kind of reset that. Oh, and the other biggie that we need to keep an eye on here is this Jupiter. When Jupiter goes into Cancer, okay, it's going to be squaring these guys. So that's another one we're going to keep an eye on, okay? So keep that in the back of your head, too, that's coming up, too. All right. Now, I think that was the main things I wanted to mention right now. Let me just hit pause. Okay, so I think the other thing I wanted to mention, and I can't remember if I did this or not, but just be sure when you see these planets, remember the sun moves just like clockwork around here. It moves a degree a day pretty much. And that these guys, you know, they are close to the sun. So just remember these personal planets, look where they are moving throughout your chart. Okay, so if because they're going to be kind of in a group. So just remember these three, if they're down in here, you're going to be more focused on your stuff, who you are, how am I going to get ahead, what am I doing, that sort of thing. Whereas if they're up in this quadrant, you're going to be more interested in, oh, how can these people help me with my money? Who do I want to get into a long-term relationship with? What are people doing in the other parts of the world? So kind of see how these planets, they move around your chart throughout the year. And just to remind you, when you get your chart, remember there's plenty free on the internet there. There'll be the degree on each one of the house cusps. There'll be the degree, the sign of the glyph for that sign, and then the minutes. And then for each planet, and I'm just using the sun here as an example, it could be Venus or Saturn or anything. This is saying that the sun is at 5 degrees Aquarius in 31 minutes. So just to show you that. And again, these signs that you want to look for in your own chart, this is Aries, the ram. You can see the ram there, right? Taurus, the bull. You can see that. And I got to tell you guys, when I got my computer one time, when I think it was Microsoft, they had the person looked like this, and I kept thinking, why do they have Taurus upside down? Okay, there's Gemini, the two twins talking to each other, and there's Cancer, the crab that, you know, moving sideways. That's supposed to be the back of his shell there. Okay, so I wanted to mention those few things, and then, like I said, just remember Uranus is going to be going into Gemini July 9th, and then Mars is actually going into Virgo June 17th. So we'll be talking about that pretty soon too. All right, so I think I've covered everything I wanted to this time. And thank you guys so much for being here. And oh, one more thing. Sorry. I got too many teaching aids here. This is just a calendar, and I wanted to show you the effects of all those planets. This is a calendar for May, being right around that 0, 1, those early degrees. Can you see? This is showing aspects. Again, this is Llewellyn calendar for each day that the moon makes. So you can see here the moon went into Virgo. Boom! You know, because it's those first few degrees, aspect after aspect, and then nothing, because it's out there where there aren't any signs. There aren't any planets or anything. So you can kind of see this repeating, you know, a bunch, and then not so many, or none. A whole bunch, not so many, you know, as it goes through. So that's why I'm saying those first few degrees are going to be super active. Okay, now I think I'm done. Thank you guys so much, and hopefully I'll see you next time. We'll start talking about Mercury going to Cancer, Jupiter going to Cancer, and probably this square too. All right, bye for now. Just remember, from there to here, from here to there, funny things are everywhere. Bye.